Hi, I'm Scott Church, and this is my YouTube channel. Hopefully you've already subscribed and you're liking and commenting and doing all the YouTube stuff that my son tells me is really important, the things that I have to get people to do. Well, today I want to talk to you about choosing the right lens for your portraits. There are hundreds and thousands of different lenses to choose from, but a lot of it, when broken down, is very, very simple, and there's only a few different, variations to pick from. Today I'm going to be talking about prime lenses, about fixed lenses, about lenses that aren't zoom lenses. I'm not a fan of zoom lenses for a lot of different reasons. I tend to stick to prime lenses when I'm shooting portraits, but I'll go through my lens lineup of things that I, like to use, and I'll show you how all of them look different when you're shooting through them. A wide-angle lens and a long lens look very different when compared to each other, shot for shot, through the camera. And I want to do it, direct and put it right in front of you so you can actually see what the camera sees here on the video. Anyway, enjoy. First of all, let me introduce the lovely and incredibly talented Jennuh Jaberwock, who just spent how long?
Like 2 hours.
Like 2 hours getting ready to do this one shot for you. So, and of course she had her makeup done by the lovely Julia. Ashley, go poke your head around the corner there real quick. I don't want to move the camera because it's set up.
Sorry for blinding everyone.
There we go. Ash has been working on Jennuh all morning, and I've been setting up this lovely shot to show you how each of these individual lenses that we're going to go through look. Now, I started out with my favorite, my own personal go-to lens, and that's my 85mm 1.8. I'm of course shooting with the Nikon D610, and this is what it looks like with an 85mm 1.8. Now the settings are 1/100th of a second, but of course we're shooting video, so you can't really take that into account. But the f-stop here is f2.8, and I'm going to keep that consistent with all of the other lenses. So we're at f2.8. Our ISO is set very low. It's set down to 100, and this is the 85mm prime lens. Our first lens that we're playing with here. Now this is an oldie but a goodie. Let's put it that way. This is a lens that I've had since I was shooting film. It's a manual focus lens, which is why this is probably not perfect in focus. This is a 20mm wide-angle lens. Now, it's not quite a fisheye, but the closer you get to something, the more it becomes a fisheye look. And if Jennuh, just lean into the camera just a little bit. See how that distortion, keep going, just a little bit more. See how that is stretching her face and distorting it? Now when she backs up, that balances out a little bit, but there's still a little bit of distortion when you're shooting with this wide of a lens for shooting portraits. And you've got to understand too, I am literally like, what, 18, 20 inches away from your face with this lens like to fill the frame. It's kind of silly. So maybe a fisheye isn't the best lens for a portrait, but it can still make for some fun effects, because I really like the way you looked. Lean in one more time and just pick there, just that. It works. It's a fun lens to play with, but it might not be your first choice. This is the next lens that we're playing with here is my 50mm. Now this is a particular 50mm lens. This is a manual focus, manual aperture. It's an old one, and it's a pancake lens, so it's the 50mm that's real skinny. I love this lens. It's a real pretty one to carry around. Now you can see the difference already from the fisheye to the 50mm, which is around the standard focal length. Now, what this lens also does, and I want you to pay attention to not just the model, even though she looks amazing. Hold on, let me get this a little bit better centered here. Now, I also want you to pay attention to how much of the background that you can see. when we were working with the wide angle lens, you could see everything, way out, side to side on the studio. With this lens, you're getting things a little bit more focused into the model, and I'm going to just focus past her real quick to show you how far down things do go here, because this set is layered to make it look closer and further away at a low aperture. Because again, we're shooting here at f2.8, which is a nice low aperture for portraits, and everything looks real pretty. Now, like I said, this is the 50mm pancake lens. What I'm going to do now is switch to my other 50mm to show you the difference between the two lenses and how they look. Okay, while Ashley's still doing the adjusting, we have, this is the other 50mm lens that I like to use. This is the autofocus and more updated version of the 50mm lens. Again, subtle changes. Notice the edges of the background and how things are pulled in, and I'll zoom out of with this lens too, just to show you how everything looks behind her, and there she is, nice and sharp. Again, this is the 85mm. I love this one. From here, I'm going to step up a little bit more longer. I have a 105mm, and I want to show you the difference. And pay attention to not only the background and the model, but pay attention to the way the model's face looks between this lens and the next lens. So, now, do you see how her face is just a little bit wider with this lens, because it just like the fisheye lens creates a distortion. The longer your lenses go, the more the distortion goes the other way. It works both ways. So when you start going the longer and longer lenses, 105, 200mm, when you're this close to get a headshot, you're going to notice a little bit of a change between that and a 50 or an 85, which is closer to the right focal length. Anyway, just to wrap up real quick, I went through a whole bunch of different lenses right there, and I hope that you could see the big difference between all of them. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and tell them what they need to do, Jenna.
Follow me on Instagram and on Facebook.
I love that she went right to a plug for herself instead of that. That was awesome.
I